Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the recap of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars 8. Today we will be going over the Joan Crawford Rusical. Yes, this is a very good episode, very good Rusical in my opinion. So let us just get right into everyone's performances. So let's just get right on into it. The first performance we will be going over is Kahana's. We're going to be going through them in the order in which they actually happened in the Rusical. So Kahana's performance, I thought was pretty damn good. She really hit all the choreo with it. And I really, you can see with the smile that she gave here, she kind of gave, the beginning of the career starlet energy with her performance. The issue with the judging for this musical is, for one, everybody did a great job. So there's going to have to be, a little picking of, splitting of hairs in order to really determine, who's going to be in the top and who's going to be in the bottom. And the main gripe I have with Kahana's performance is that the intensity and emotion to which she originally sang the words that are in her part, because they all recorded the vocals for their parts, is not there in her lip sync. The way that she's because it's slightly uncanny to me. Not a lot, just the littlest tad, because I know that's Kahana Montrese's voice, and hearing the audio of it, but seeing her mouth move, I'm like, okay, yeah, it is her voice. She's the one mouthing it, but she's not mouthing it the same way that she actually said it, if that makes sense. Or in a similar enough way that it feels like it's actually still coming out of her mouth, if that makes any sense. That was my main gripe, was issues with the way that she ended up doing her lip sync. And sadly, I think in this type of challenge, that is enough of a gripe that I think it was pretty reasonable for Kahana to land in the bottom. I didn't really have an issue with the judging this episode at all. I do think, do I think Alexis or Lala could have won the challenge over Candy? Yeah, but I don't think Candy winning is rigged. Do I think Jimbo could have been in the bottom over, specifically probably Kahana? Yeah, but do I think her not being in the bottom was rigged? Not particularly. I think they were all reasonable placements, and that's just where they chose to put them for storyline and other purposes. So I'm not mad at the placements this episode really at all, which is one of the first times I've been able to say that this season. Well, that might be slightly too harsh. I mean, I feel the same. I mean, that's probably the third time this season, I think. So I guess, 3 out of 6 ain't bad. I don't know, make that a new song, I guess. Next up is James Mansfield's performance, and I thought this was a pretty good performance again. This was kind of the most technical performance, not in terms of the singing or in terms of the dancing specifically, but most technical in terms of I guess it is actually about the dancing. There's so much little things she has to do, and she also has to work with a partner. So it's understandable why the choreo and just the staging and other parts felt slightly off with her performance. And also James sadly did not have the best runway this week. So even though, again, I feel like James did a pretty solid job, and any average Rusical would probably place safe very, very easily, is now in the bottom for this performance. But I really have nothing else to I guess critique about James' performances. I thought that's basically all I have. Next up is Candy Muse and her performance, and I thought she hit the choreo straight on. She did a good job with the lip sync. I think she did an amazing job with this. I mean, again, this musical was so stacked in my opinion in the individual performances that I really can't say anything else for a lot of these contestants other than, yeah, they killed it. Literally. I think this was kind of the most iconic part of the no wire hangers, in relation to Drag Race, at least. This is the most iconic Joan Crawford kind of staple kind of joke that is continues to occur. So I again thought Candy Muse did a great job with this, and you the white on her face. It's so good. She did a great job. Again, Jessica Wilde, I think, did a good job with her performance. Hit that choreo, hit the lyrics. My one kind of with this Rusical as a thing, I have a slight thing with the different musical styles that are present in here, Because some of them feel like they make sense for a musical about Joan Crawford, but some of them, like the one in Jessica's, really didn't. I was like, because I'm not gonna sit here and be like, this isn't Joan Crawford at all, because I'm not a Joan Crawford stan. My knowledge of Joan Crawford is like a very good amount like Drag Race based, and I've seen a few things regarding Joan Crawford, but like I'm not gonna be able to read to you off all the lines on the Wikipedia page, you know. So like my knowledge of Joan Crawford isn't that strong, but the fact that there's all these different genres within here, like you have like Jessica with this like rock portion, and you get Alexis Michelle later with like this country portion, and Lala with this kind of like it's kind of like disco, almost house. Not it's not really house, but you know, you get the vibe that I'm throwing down with it. Like you get all these different genres with it, and it just doesn't feel like is this Joan? Because like I mean, obviously they're talking about Joan, but is this Joan? That's I guess my only actual physical gripe with the musical as a whole, if that makes sense. Of being like, I'm not sure exactly what that vibe is. But again, Jessica did a great job, and she really carried the vibe. She did a great job with it. So I have no gripes. Now, for me, Lala Ree was the best in this musical. She killed every second of her performance. No fucking notes. Like, I fucking. I have Let's Go Joan stuck in my head still. It's just like, let's go, Joan. Like, it's fun. I love it so much. I'm gonna watch it again after this. I mean, she really got the vibe, killed it, did the lip sync perfectly, did the choreo perfectly. I also love having the different background dancers. You have like there's men and women background dancers. I mean, like not to like pigeonhole these like person's identities on. I don't know what like I don't know if they consider themselves men or women or whatever they choose to label themselves as. But I like the fact that we're seeing like these different kinds of bodies being like background dancers on Drag Race is very nice in my opinion. La Ree was my standout this week, and if we're using this lip sync assassin format, it would have been my number one probably. If we're doing the traditional, I get not traditional because technically it's not the traditional, but the more used top two All Stars format, it would have definitely been Lala and Alexis for me personally. They were my two favorites. Um, but again, Lala fucking murdered this. Speaking of Alexis Michelle, the look feels Joan to me. The way that she always the entire time has her face kind of in like a more like I guess like statuesque, not statuesque. I'm trying to find a word that's not as like because statuesque implies like more graceful than I mean, and stiff it feels more rude than I mean. She has her face kind of locked in this that's actually a good way to say it. She has her face locked in this position that feels Joan Crawford to me, and that she kind of sang the song in this almost Joan Crawfordy way, and it feels the most Joan to me. She feels Joan with everything that she like does, in my opinion. I think she killed this, and also having this like country section, which I feel like depending on like what you're doing, especially for like Drag Race, we saw it on season 15 of like who's gonna get country as like that's gonna be like the thing. Like for the Go Groups challenge, I feel like sometimes it could be like the wah wah like kind of like thumbs down kind of choice to either choose or end up getting in like a Drag Race musical or challenge or whatever. But she really shone and made this like her own, and I really really think she did an amazing job here. And lastly, we have Jimbo. Jimbo, I think, did a pretty damn good job with her lip sync, and I really like her look here. I love the way she did the makeup. My one gripe with Jimbo's is that the choreo didn't feel as tight as most of the others, but I mean, obviously, I don't think it's fair to grade on a curve of saying like, oh well, we know Jimbo isn't in general, as a general sense, as great as is the choreo in Drag Race challenges as the other contestants in the show. I mean, I don't think that's a mean thing to say. We saw Sorry About It. We saw the musical that she did on UK versus the World. So like going into the challenge, I think it's reasonable to expect that Jimbo's not going to hit the choreo 100%. But in this case, she did all of the choreo, it seems, and didn't mess any of it up, did it feel as tight the way that she did the choreo as all of the other performances? Yeah, it didn't feel necessarily as tight, but she did all of it. So again, I don't think it's fair to grade on that curve of, well, we expected worse from you, so you get to be saved from the bottom. But I still think, regardless, if we're looking at the gripes I feel like I have with these contestants, I feel like James, kind of is a similar choreo gripe, also the outfit, which, is kind of two, which I guess James would be in the bottom, and then I have one each, a main one each for Kahana and Jimbo. And I feel like you could grade those however much more, like, intense or whatever you want. Do you think it matters more that Kahana wasn't hitting, like, her enunciation and the words 100%, or do you think it's worse that Jimbo wasn't hitting the choreo as, like, tight as she should have? You can go either way, I feel like. I feel like it's entirely a matter of opinion whether Jimbo should be in the bottom or not, and I think anybody's opinion on Jimbo being in the bottom or not is entirely valid. Unless there's, like, a weird reason, I guess. If your reason of Jimbo being the bottom is that you don't, you hated her eyelashes or something, that would be a fucking weird reason, but you know what I mean. Now, I want to take a damn second to talk about Angeria Paris Van Michaels. She looks so fucking good right here. I mean, a beauty. Like, this is clipped from literally, like, the very beginning of the lip sync we saw. And as soon as I saw her do this and just, like, stare off and say those words like that, I was like, oh, she's gonna win. And then she didn't. Which, I mean, like, Candy did a great job too. I feel like they did pretty similar levels of how well they did. So I can understand giving it to Candy. They also had to roll over that money twice and it's now 30,000. I don't know if they want to make it 40,000. Like, awarding someone $40,000 for a lip sync is kind of, like, too much in my opinion. Well, not too much as in, like, that's too much money, but, like, it feels like $2,000 an amount for a lip sync win an all-star season to me. So I understand why they were like, Candy, take your 35,000 with the actual challenge win and just, like, let it be. I was a bit surprised that James Mansfield went home here though, because I thought with, like, the third time in the bottom, I thought it would have been Kahana, even though Kahana did have a win. I still thought, I was like, okay, it's probably going to be Kahana. It feels like we've kind of been, like, set up to, like, see Kahana, like, through this, and it kind of felt like, okay, this is the time that Kahana might be sent home, but it wasn't, so good for Kahana, and sad times for Miss James Mansfield. Jamesy, oh my goodness, I'm very happy that James got another chance to show herself on the Drag Race stage. And the fact that she did so much better than last time. I mean, literally made it through, I think, 6 episodes. Was in the top for 3 of them. Showed some great runways. Showed that she could be funny. Showed that she has improved as a drag artist since her first time on. While she didn't end up winning any challenges and did not end up getting the crown, I feel like a, talent redemption for James was fully gotten here by her. She was able to show that she has the chops to do well on RuPaul's Drag Race, and I love that for her. And I did wish to get to see her longer. I thought she was going to be in the finale. Even though she hadn't won a challenge, I was like, I think James will probably make the finale. She didn't, sadly, but James again did a great job, and I would love to see her again on another season of Drag Race, or just literally do anything, file my taxes. So now we're down to 6, and I have a question with this season. Apparently the season is 12 episodes long still, but we're down to 6 people. It's episode 7 now. So what are we doing? I think there allegedly is a reunion, so that would be one of the episodes, and also the finale would be another episode. So those are, like, 2 kind of, like, non-elimination, like, so to say, episodes. So that would be, like, 10 competitive. But there's, like, 12 contestants, so if you got rid of someone every episode, you'd be down to 2. So I feel like there's got to be at least 1 or 2 episodes where nobody goes home, and how is that going to happen? You know what I mean? And because the Fame Games exist, I don't expect there to be a redemption. Because, like, if the Fame Games was not a thing and we had this format, I'd be like, oh, well, they're going to bring in a returning contestant 1 episode. And that'll, like, even it out. That'll get us to 3 or 4 by the finale. Like, that was my immediate, like, thought about it. But that doesn't seem to be, like, the case that we're going to get. So I'm interested to see how this ends up going here. I'm still going to predict a top 4. I'm going to say Candy. Jimbo, Jessica Wilde. I don't think Kahana's making it there still. So it's gotta be Alexis or Lala. But which one of them is gonna win a challenge? The next episode's another, like, improv, like, acting situation. So I guess with that, I'd want to say Alexis Michelle. But, I mean, I also, like, it could be Lala, too. I mean, this feels like a cop-out answer because I feel like this is, like, the most obvious thing. But if we're doing a Final Four, I think it's gonna be Jimbo, Jessica, Candy, and one of Alexis or Lala. And that's what I'm gonna say. I don't have to say everything. I can have my own feelings and opinions, Mom. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Okay, well, that's gonna be it for this episode. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you wish. Leave your thoughts, feelings, opinions down below. I will also leave my Twitter down below if you want to go follow me on there. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, take care. Bye-bye.